If your manifestations aren't working, it's not because you're doing it wrong. It's because everyone told you to focus on the wrong thing. And I'm about to show you exactly what that is. I was sitting with a client recently, someone who'd been trying to manifest for years. They read all the books, they followed every teacher, vision boards, scripting, affirmations, the whole toolkit. And I've heard it so many times and still nothing. I mean, nothing big happened, the odd small manifestation, but as usual, nothing big enough to really matter. And within 15 minutes of conversation, I could see exactly why. And it's the same story that I've heard from hundreds of people. It wasn't their belief. It wasn't their effort. It was their state. Their thoughts were saying one thing, but their energy, their body, their emotions, they were broadcasting something completely different. And that's the number one mistake that everyone makes when they say that manifestation, it just doesn't work. My name is Dion Goldsmith, and this is Manifestations, where I make simple creation predictable and real. Look, here's what's really happening. Most people are trying to think their way into a new reality instead of stabilizing into it. They say that I'm abundant, but that their body, it feels unsafe. They visualize success while their nervous system is stuck in this survival mode. And so what happens? The signal that they're sending out to the universe is mixed. And here's the truth that nobody wants to hear, is the universe, it doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your coherence. If your inner world is scattered, the outer world mirrors that back to you every single time. Now, most people, they hear stay positive, or keep your vibrations high. And they try to push away any feelings that don't fit that picture. And they force gratitude when they don't even feel it. They repeat affirmations that just don't land. And deep down, they know it just feels fake. And that's because you can't override your emotional state with words alone. Your words are just surface level, but your state of being, that is the broadcast. That's the frequency that the world is actually responding to. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right and nothing's changing, please do comment below. I want to hear your story. So I told my client this exact thing. I said, look, your affirmations are not bad. They're just anchored in the wrong energy. They're not in the right energy. You're planting seeds that are in soil that is still frozen. You can't grow new experiences from a nervous system that doesn't feel safe. It's got to feel safe enough to receive them. And that safety, that calm trust, that's what coherence really is. When your thoughts and your emotions and your body are all in the same place. They're pointing in the same direction. And that's when you stop chasing reality and it starts coming towards you. And for a long time, I was doing exactly what they were doing. I was forcing positivity. I was trying to attract good things by pretending that the bad things just weren't there. But all that did was build tension. The real shift came when I stopped trying to escape my feelings and I started regulating them. And that's when manifestation went from just random luck to something that I could actually rely on. And if you want to understand how this works on a deeper level, then stick with me, because what I'm about to explain connects modern physics with ancient wisdom in a way that should blow your mind. And here's where it gets interesting, because modern physics and ancient Vedanta. They are describing the same principle, but through different languages. The observer effect in quantum mechanics shows that reality responds to observation. And not because your mind magically changes matter, but because observation changes information. And that information is what defines reality. In Vedantic philosophy, consciousness itself is the foundation of creation. It's two sides of the same mountain. So when we talk about coherence, what we're really talking about is learning to observe in one consistent direction. Your emotions, your body, your focus, your attention is all pointed towards one steady version of reality. And that's what selects it. That's what stabilizes it. You're not pulling a new world in, you are just tuning into one that already exists. And this is why manifestation just feels so hit and miss for so many people. They hold the right thought for just a few moments, and then they get pulled into fear or doubt or even frustration. Their observation, it jumps timelines. It's like changing radio stations every few seconds and wondering why the song keeps cutting off. The key isn't to think harder. It's to hold your signal steady. And that's where emotional intelligence becomes your greatest tool for manifesting. When you learn to regulate your emotions, you stop being a slave to them. You stop letting fear or impatience throw you out of alignment. You become calm, grounded, magnetic. And people feel that. Opportunities feel that. Life itself feels that. And that's when the field begins to recognize you around your steadiness. You've probably met someone just like that. Someone who feels, centered no matter what's happening around them. And you notice how drawn people are to that energy. And that's coherence in action. They're not chasing, they're just allowing, they're steady enough that reality naturally reshapes around their consistency. So if manifestation hasn't been working for you, don't blame yourself. Don't think that you are broken. You've just been missing the foundation that everyone else just seems to skip over when they're teaching this stuff. If this is landing for you, then, or if something just clicked, hit the like button, please, because it's going to help more people find this message. So let me give you something practical that you can use right now. Just start with awareness. Notice how you feel when you think about what it is that you want. If there is tension, if there is anxiety or disbelief, don't fight it. Just breathe into it and relax your body. And just remind yourself that safety is a state, and you can create that right now, not tomorrow, not when the thing you want arrives, but right now. And then once you feel calm, then revisit your desire, what you're wanting from the universe. And here's the key to it as well. Don't reach for it like it's far away. Feel it as though it's something that already fits you. That's coherence, when your body believes what your mind is saying. Then manifestation stops being a theory and it becomes something that you can rely on. Your relationships, they start to shift. Your finances, it responds. and your confidence in this starts to become unshakable, because it's all reflecting the stability that you're holding inside. You know, and keep your affirmations. If you love them, keep them. Keep your vision board if it inspires you. But just make sure that your body and your emotions agree with that story. And that's when it all begins to work. Look, if you are serious about making manifestation actually work, but and not just occasionally, but consistently, and subscribe to this channel, because I am breaking down the mechanics that most people never speak about, the real science behind it, the real energy work, the stuff that actually moves the needle. And drop a comment. Let me know what manifestation that you've been trying for that just hasn't shown up yet. I read every single one of my comments on all of my channels and all of my social media accounts. And you never know that your question might become the next video. And if you know somebody who has been struggling with manifestation, who keeps trying but nothing seems to land, then send them this video. This might actually be what they need to know. My name is Dion Goldsmith, and this is Manifestation Mechanics. Stay coherent, stay steady, and I'll see you in the next one.